Welcome to today's forum on a topic that has sparked intense debates and widespread discussion the legalization of marijuana for recreational use. I'm honored to serve as your moderator for this important conversation. Before we dive into the heart of the matter, I'd like to set the stage by acknowledging the significance of this discussion. Marijuana, a plant with a long history of human use, has been at the center of numerous societal, legal, and health related debates. In recent years, many regions and countries have undergone significant changes in their approach to marijuana policy. This forum serves as a platform where a diverse range of perspectives will converge. We have panelists who firmly support legalization, those who express concerns, and some who maintain a neutral stance. The variety of opinions represented here will allow us to explore the topic from multiple angles, promoting a deeper understanding of its complexities. I encourage all participants to engage in this discussion with respect for one another and with a commitment to informed dialogue. It's through respectful exchange and the sharing of evidence based arguments that we can collectively arrive at a more comprehensive understanding of the issue. Our goal today is not just to share opinions, but to learn from one another, consider various viewpoints, and explore the potential consequences, benefits, and challenges associated with marijuana legalization for recreational use. To get started, I would like to introduce the panelists. The first panelist is Hilman, a university student. Next, we have Khalid from Ministry of Health, MOH. Last but not least, Razli, a researcher from Malaysia Hemtech Industrial Research Association, MHIRA. With that, I officially open this forum for discussion. I look forward to a productive and informative conversation. Please, let's begin with your thoughts on whether marijuana should be legalized for recreational use. Let's begin with Hilman.
So for me, I agree to legalize marijuana for recreational use. So to support legalizing marijuana for recreational use is based on arguments such as personal freedom, criminal justice, and the generation of revenue for public service and harm reduction, and also economic growth through job creation.
So, I would like to hear from Khalid.
Alright, for me, I disagree with the legalization of marijuana because it gives a bad influence in the society. Legalizing marijuana frequently centers on worries about how it might affect society, such as how easily accessible it would be to youth, worries that it could be a gateway drug, problems with impaired driving, health risks, and potential financial and social costs related to law enforcement and regulation.
And not to forget, we also like to hear Razli's opinion.
Well, in my opinion, both sides represents pretty good points so far. As for Hilman, he presents that maybe it can use for recreational use, such as reducing crimes, maybe even helps with day-to-day life. And as for Khalid, he said that it be a problem as for youth, younger generation. It is more accessible for them, and it may lead to several other issues that will consequently lead to even more problems in the future.
So, for the first question, I would like to ask Hilman, what do you see as the primary advantages of legalizing marijuana for the recreational use?
Okay, for legalizing recreational marijuana results in helpful regulation of a safe drug without increasing potential negative consequences. Once marijuana is legalized, the government is able to enforce laboratory testing and regulation to ensure that marijuana is free of toxins. Additionally, traffic deaths dropped 11% on average in states that legalize medical marijuana. In fact, studies show that drivers under the influence of marijuana tend to be more cautious and take fewer risks than drunk drivers, such as making fewer lane change and reducing speed. The fact of the matter is that marijuana is less harmful than alcohol and tobacco, which are already legal. There are no recorded cases of death from marijuana overdose. Other than that, all of the tax revenue in legal marijuana states provide funding to the police, drug treatment and mental health centers, and housing program, along with school programs such as anti-bullying campaigns, youth mentoring, and public school grants.
So the second question is for Khalid. Conversely, what concerns or disadvantages do you associate with legalization? Since Hillman, who is agree with the legalization, said that the legalization of marijuana for recreational use is helpful in terms of regulation of a safe drug.
Okay, for my point of view, since marijuana has no recognized medicinal value, legalization can mislead people about the state of the science around the drug. Marijuana also has multiple risks that could not be avoided, that could lead to long-term and short-term health conditions, which could cause mental problems and lung problems. As I said before, marijuana has short-term and long-term effects. Because of the psychedelic effects, they have cannabis flowers and leaves are used. This will affect on one's mind, causing them to be feeling euphoric or high, unwanted, unpleasant, and negative. Those are short-term brain effects.
Okay, since Hillman and Khalid stated that, from Hillman, he said that legalization of marijuana is helpful in terms of regulation of a safe drug, and Khalid said that no recognized medicinal value and marijuana have short and long term for health condition. What do you think about marijuana legalization?
Well, in my opinion, Khalid stated some pretty good facts while also giving out several examples for it. As he stated before, um, the usage of cannabis can lead to short-term effects and also long-term effects in the brain and the organs such as the lungs and the liver. Well, it also can be used for also day-to-day stuff such as sleeping, use or maybe treating insomniac or maybe helping out with pain like what like Hillman said before, as it is useful after its safe drug regulations.
Okay, so next, what strategies should be in place to address concerns about marijuana use among adolescents? And how can education play a role in this? I want Hillman to answer this.
So the first one is comprehensive drug education. Schools should implement comprehensive drug educations program that provide accurate information about the risks and consequences of marijuana use. This program should be age appropriate, evidence based, and include information on the impact of marijuana on brain. The second one is public awareness campaigns. Develop public awareness campaigns that target both adolescents and adults, emphasizing the importance of preventing youth marijuana use. And the last one is parental involvement. Parental should be Parents should be educated about the risks of adolescents marijuana use and given tools to communicate effectively with their children about these risks.
Okay, thank you, Hillman. And I would like to hear from Khalid. As Hillman said, marijuana use among adolescents and the education play a role in this with comprehensive drug education, public awareness campaigns, and parental involvement. What is your thought regarding this?
So, I think it's pretty much impossible for it to be legal in our country since it causes a lot of bad impact to our body and mind. It could cause addiction, which would root to harming your memory, concentration, intelligence, and decision-making problems. Extensive cannabis use would cause alterations in the receptors with the highest density. Receptors are extensively expressed at lower levels in other brain's region, but they are expressed at high levels in the temporal lobe, cerebellum, and neocortex. Smoking marijuana also have the same effect with cigarette that will cause lung disease, such as bronchitis, lung infections, chronic cough, increased mucus buildup in the chest. There's 100 more bad impacts on health rather than the pros. So I think it will not be legalized in the time soon.
Okay, so the next question is for Razli. As a neutral party, do you find certain studies or data particularly influential in shaping your perspective on this topic? If so, could you share some of them?
Well, regarding data and maybe the information that I have, both sides represent the data that I already know and maybe some that I didn't know, such as maybe parents could educate their children on the effects of cannabis, or maybe they could perhaps involve this and more in teaching their children on the effects of um, maybe the long-term usage of cannabis can lead to what effect, or maybe what could and what will happen if you take an excessive amount of cannabis. As for Khalid, he also represents some pretty good points. It is very much impossible to educate children and youths regarding the usage of cannabis. And it is very much impossible to teach every single children out there about the dangerous or maybe the usefulness of cannabis on its own.
So the next question is for all of the panelists. Looking ahead, what do you predict the future holds for marijuana legalization and its societal impact? Let's start with Kilman.
Okay. The future of marijuana legalization is expected to see continued expansion with more regions moving toward acceptance for both medical and recreational use. This, ev- this evolution will necessitate refined regulatory frameworks to ensure safety and responsible use while also providing economic growth and job opportunities.
Okay, so next we would like to hear from Khalid.
Okay. For me, legalization of marijuana might lead to more hazards to public health and safety in the future. This may include worries about increased cannabis use rate, especially in young people, which may cause problems with cognition and education. Marijuana acceptance and normalization may unintentionally lead to an increase in incidents of driving while intoxicated as well as other social problems. It is possible that the cost to society of dealing with these issues will outweigh the tax benefits. According to critics, making taxes a divisive topic for years to come.
So since you don't pick any sides, I would like to hear from your opinion also, Razli.
Well, what I think about the legalization of cannabis, it is pretty much a double-edged sword. It comes with good and also comes with bad. As for recreational use, it can help with people who are suffering from insomnia. As for it, um, as it helps the brain to slow down, and it helps the person that consumes it to sleep more easily than before. As for medical use, it can relieve anxiety as cannabis contains THC, which is scientifically proven to have blood pressure lowering properties. And it and as for the bad side of cannabis, it not only um, allows children to be more open to it, as it is legal and you can buy it from pretty much everywhere. Uh, Not everywhere, but maybe pharmacies, or maybe you can get it from hospitals, clinics, anywhere anywhere, as long as it gives out the medicine for it. And the other bad part is that it can also increase the amount of crime rates happening around the country, as it influence some crimes such as domestic abuse and driving under influence, and also murder. Depends on what kind of uh, cannabis that they took.
Before we wrap up, could each panelist share your final thoughts or recommendations on the topic of marijuana legalization for recreational use? Hillman.
So I agree to legalize marijuana for recreational use because it will generating tax revenue, reducing the burden on the criminal justice system. And before making such a decision, it is important for policymakers to carefully consider the potential risks and benefits, implement effective regulation, and monitor the impact on society to ensure that legalization is carried out responsibly.
So, in my opinion, fears of unfavorable outcomes are the basis for opposition to the legalization of marijuana for recreational use. It is crucial to take into account the possible risks of increased accessibility, potential harm to adolescents, and the possibility that marijuana could act as a gateway to more dangerous substances in order to maintain a safer and healthier society. While closely observing the effects of legalization, policymakers should place a high priority on strict regulation, strict enforcement of age restriction, and comprehensive public education campaigns to reduce this risk. To make sure that the concerns of those who oppose legalization are taken into consideration, it is imperative that the public be involved in the decision-making process.
As for my final thoughts, I think that legalization of cannabis could lead to many more harms than good. And it is pretty much confirmed by other countries who are already legalizing it, such as Thailand. There are many, well, crimes happening already in Thailand, such as drunk driving, murder, and probably illegal drugs being transferred all over the places around the world. As for as for example, there's a lot of crimes. Trafficking, drug trafficking happening around Thailand and to Malaysia, especially near the border, and it happens more often than not. Well, I think legalizing cannabis can also be pretty good in terms of medical use, recreational use, as it may help with the economy too. But I think overall it's not a very good thing to do, and maybe we should take that into consideration after more research has been done.
In conclusion, I would like to express my appreciation to each and every one of you for your insightful contributions and respectful engagement in this forum on the topic of marijuana legalization for recreational use. Your diverse perspectives have enriched this discussion, and I encourage you to continue exploring this complex issue in future conversations. Thank you for making this forum a place for informed and constructive dialogue. With that, I officially close this forum. Thank you again for your participation. I look forward to seeing you in future discussions on a wide range of important topics. Thank you.